What's up guys, Chris here, and it's October in War of the Visions. We're currently at the tail end of what is the longest spree of limited time units and vision cards in the history of War of the Visions. So I'm sure as free to play or light spenders, your visiore is probably looking a lot like the toilet paper aisle in 2020. While we have a few weeks to recover when Final Fantasy VII is finally over, it's not long before we get hit with Halloween units and then Final Fantasy 15. And in case you didn't know about it, Final Fantasy IV will return right after the holidays. For those of you that are new to the game in the last few months, I do want to make clear that this has been a pretty atypical stretch for War of the Visions with so many limited units and collaborations. Personally, I think this is because Gumi knew that we spent a lot of money and visiore on Final Fantasy VII, so they threw in a few curveballs with Elena and Tomb Raider to create a little bit of FOMO. Kind of like the old adage, kick them while they're down, don't you think? I want to believe that the only surprise that we're going to get in the next couple of months will be new Halloween units, so hopefully this release schedule stays pretty intact. As always guys, thanks for joining us. If you liked the video, hit that thumbs up and red button, and let's jump in our van and hand out some candy. Wait, that didn't sound right. First up, I want to talk real quick about Starlight Elena, and you've likely already made up your mind on her, but now that we know her kit, she actually isn't quite as dominant as I was expecting for a cost 100 unit. Is she a good unit? Of course, no doubt, but it's not like she's unseating Mama Helena or Mac Daddy Mont or even Dwayne for 100 cost units. Ultimately, I think she falls somewhere in with the units like Unkillable Zazan and Ruined Stern. Very strong in her own element and likely not too useful for newer players who don't already have things like Yuna, Bahamut, Carbuncle, or Flash of Insight. Next up we have Jayden, and he's going to be a pass for pretty much everybody except for the same people that we just talked about. He's a strong light magic DPS unit. He's going to benefit from these same vision cards and units that we just mentioned. He's a unit that wants to sit back and deal out tons of damage, so I do think you want to have Warrior of Light as a tank in front of him, or maybe even Elena as an invasion tank. That said, and we've mentioned this before, but Jayden isn't limited, and the list of tools you need to get the most out of Jayden, most players don't have. So ultimately, he should be a pass for most free-to-play or light spenders. This leads us to Jayden's vision card, and I'm not really sold on this card. Even if you're on the Elena Jayden train, I think this vision card just isn't the ticket. Is it awesome card art? Sure, but light missile attack is so specific to Jayden right now that I can't foresee any circumstance where free-to-play or light spenders will be maxing this card. This card's kind of like Swedish Fish Oreos. I see what you're trying to do here, but I feel like you have a very specific audience. This is the ultimate luxury card for Jayden, and as such, I just can't bring myself to recommend that anyone spends visiore on it. Varouche is next, and no. This is a great week to store up some visiore. His new job is a magic swordsman, which is kind of like an anti-magic samurai. The biggest problem here is that a katana wielder that scales with magic, particularly one of the wind element, there's just not a lot of tools that you need to make him impactful upon his release. Vision cards for the wind element just don't help him out all that much, and he doesn't really have any clear unit combinations that jump out at me. I will note that he does have full life on his white mage subjob, which is crazy good, but if you're looking for a wind magic unit that can support with full life and heals, then you should just wait for Halloween Leela. The next week we should get the Dark Selection Quest for Lameiga, and this is a Dark Pugilist. There's not really much to say here. Selection Quest units are a neat bonus to your count if you're able to get them, but if you're staring at limited awakening resources, I'd be saving them outright for better units like Dwayne, Helena, Ruined Stern, Kane, Prompto, Colbez, pretty much any other dark unit than Lameiga. We will get a vision card, Care of Specialties, which shouldn't be overlooked at all for those of you who got Lara Croft. Human killer on physical attacks, accuracy, single target resistance. You also get magic resistance and attack on the unit effects, a huge bonus to the attack stat and added AP. This card is basically Titan plus Odin and then some for water units. And just like the Laswell card was a must pull for ice teams, I think that this card is a must pull for physical water teams. Lara Croft, Winter Victoria, Titus, Glaciella, all of these units want this card. Consider it a must pull if you main any of those units. Otherwise, you can probably pass. It's right around this time that we should get the rerun of the Halloween units. And for those of you not familiar, Halloween Leela, she's a wind calculator with full life support. She's a very valuable unit. She was dominant for a handful of months last year in War of the Visions, so look out for what her EX jobs will bring. Halloween Ryu is an Earth Rune Knight, and while not as versatile as Leela, his TMR is one of the more unique gimmicks in War of the Visions, allowing any unit to have re-raise. Regardless, we haven't seen his EX jobs, and we also haven't seen what he can do with Luel or beefed up Earth Vision cards. Ryu is going to be followed by Oberon and Noctis as well, so I would be shocked if Gumi doesn't make his EX jobs super strong to entice visiore out from people who are building strong Earth accounts. Lastly, I would count on us getting a new unit, maybe even two probably at Halloween. It's impossible to predict what they're going to do here, so your best bet is to just say visiore and expect some kind of crazy curveball. As I just mentioned, here we get Oberon, and cost 100, this mop-headed kid packs a nasty punch. Very strong physical attacker, both pierce and slash attacks, so there's a couple of ways that you can build him and make him useful. He's going to pair well with Unkillable Zazon and the upcoming Noctis from Final Fantasy 15. Shoot pretty much any Earth units you can pair him with. Also any Pierce units, even though I don't have any of those units listed here. Oberon and Moraga even is a pretty scary combo, and the Church of Eileen is probably singing Hallelujah. Ultimately, this is going to come down to vision cards. You'll want supporting Earth cards to get full use out of Oberon, so don't get too caught up in the hype for him. If you don't have tools for Earth, consider him a pass. Oberon will come with the Proto-Molecule Deer vision card, and I do think this card is absolutely a must-have for Oberon. It has single target resistance and agility, two of the best bonuses you can get on a vision card. More attack and agility come directly from the card, as well as some human killer with the unit effects. And how about Eileen getting some love with this card as well? That said, I don't think this is a universal pull for all Earth accounts. If you don't have Oberon and Eileen, that pierce attack bonus will definitely go to waste. It's still a good card for Earth, but I think it downgrades to a consider instead of a must-have. I should mention that the Esper here too has Earth attack, pierce attack, obviously perfect for Oberon and Eileen, kinda just mediocre for any other unit. Let's talk about Falm, who at first glance most people are going to write off as an instant pass because she has very standard jobs with Ninja, Ranger, and Samurai, but I do think in the right hands she could be a greatly underrated unit. She has the ability to flex between evasion, ranged attack, and slash attack, meaning she can fit into a lot of different water teams, the physical teams anyway, with Lara Croft, Titus, Victoria, and Glaciella. Her EX 120 also brings out one of the most unique abilities in the game. Her updated Shuriken will not only deal damage, but it dispels both re-raise and courage from the target, and also decreases their accuracy. She also gets an upgraded Dream Within a Dream ability to break spirit and defense, making her an exceptional unit for water teams in PvE for raids and trials. Guys, do not sleep on Falm. One, because she's not a mattress, but two, because she's highly versatile. Non-limited though, which means if you don't have some of the units and vision cards that I listed here, you can probably just pull her later and slow build in the future. Finally, let's take our first dive into the kits of Final Fantasy 15. We will be getting Noctis, Prompto, and Aranea. I mean, come on, we all know who you want, and it's not Noctis or Prompto. I will reiterate that I believe the best strategy for these collab events is to go all or nothing for free-to-play or budget players. So either go for both Noctis and Aranea or just pass. This is because of these shared mind spheres. You ultimately have shared cost and can save visiore in the long run through things like the guild barracks and soul medals. Anyway, let's jump right in, and speaking of Prompto, he's the free unit from the 15 collab. He's a dark ranged unit that dishes out all sorts of status effects and debuffs. He's really annoying in PvP. Dark teams are already very strong, and he will pair pretty seamlessly with units like Dwayne, Venera, and Midas Stern. He doesn't do crazy amounts of damage or anything, but his status effects do include blind and slow, so he pairs well with the evasion builds on both Stern and Venera. He's a fine unit, but if you're not pulling on 15, I probably wouldn't bother investing visiore in him. Dark has a lot of great units, and you can save for something else down the road if you save on not building up Prompto. If you're pulling for Noctis and Aranea, then you just need to get him to 99 so his overflow shards go into the shared mind spheres, and personally I think he would be the last of the 3 Final Fantasy 15 units that I would build. Noctis is a really cool unit. He's kind of like a mix between Titus and 2B, evasion not included. In that I mean he acts as a solid bruiser unit with good damage and can flex between a couple different damage types like pierce, slash, and strike, which makes him able to exploit the weaknesses of whatever he attacks. Barrier breaking, counter breaking, and attack and magic debuffs, these all make him a solid all-around unit, whether you focus on the earth element or not. His most unique ability is a TP ability, which activates a second attack anytime he uses an ability, which is a new mechanic that we might see more of later in the game. Long story short, Noctis and Oberon, or Noctis and Zazon, will be a formidable combination in PvP, as all of these units will do a lot of damage and are pretty hard to kill. Outside of Earth only, he's still a solid unit, but much like Titus, he's going to require very specific vision cards to really rock out. If you're an owner of a 120 Zazon, just stop spending your visiore now and save for Noctis and his card. Just trust me, you will not regret it. And speaking of the vision card, Oath of Salvation, it increases attack, dexterity, and magic resistance of Earth units. Solid Earth attack and HP buff for Earth units on the unit bonus, and likely a global upgrade we'll get for Noctis. It's equivalent to Fenrir for Ice, plus some for Earth teams. I personally think this is a must-have for all Earth teams, at least the physical attacking Earth teams. Given that it's a limited card, I think all players should consider maxing this card out, if only because it will eventually be a good card for whatever Earth team that you decide to assemble in the future. Those who passed up Suteki D Na or Scion of House Beowulf know exactly what I'm talking about here. And super shout out on this card for Summer Lilith, who can take full advantage of that dex bonus and the attack bonuses on this card. Last up, we have Aranea, the true waifu of Final Fantasy 15. She's a crowd pleaser, and for good reason. She's a beefed up dragoon with the body of a young B. Arthur. Yeah, you heard me right. Anyways, not only is she easy on the eyes, she vaults Ice Pierce teams into a borderline meta position in PvP. And the thing I love about Aranea is that she can pair with the non-limited ice units of Laswell and Victora very seamlessly, as well as the Fenrir Vision card, which most, if not all players, should have maxed out. Almost all of the ice units are limited or premium, and most are slash, so Aranea gives a lot of newer players a low-cost barrier of entry into a very strong ice team using non-limited tools. This is probably my favorite part about her. Well, second favorite part. You know, B. Arthur and all. I also threw Barret on there because Aranea can do strike damage through her pugilist subjob. And full disclosure, I don't actually know if that's a good combo, but Barret doesn't get a whole lot of love, so I got you, bro. Finally, Aranea does have a matching vision card in Esper. AoE resist and critical rate are very, very good party buffs, and the 18 pierce attack on the card is also a nice addition. This makes the card a really solid choice for Aranea or Victora, and even for almost every ice team. I don't think it's necessarily a must-have, as the Mask of Deceit non-limited card could potentially be used in its place, and also that Ice has a treasure trove of great options for non-limited cards. If you can swing the visiore for it, definitely pick it up for Aranea. If you can't, just shrug it off and move on. Wait, what am I saying? It's a damn Magitech mech armor. If you don't pull for this, you're probably one of those people who thought the Black Eyed Peas just killed it at the Super Bowl. Let's wrap up with the upcoming EX and 3-star Esper release schedule. And Victor and Glaciella both have their solid EX upgrades coming very, very soon. The Halloween units will highlight the EX jobs for the next couple of months though. And Killface seems kind of disappointing to me, but I do want to shout out the EX for Miranda that comes in December. She gets a super powered jamming thrust and becomes immune to slash and magic resistance breaks. So what this means is you could potentially turn her into a water version of Whisper who is nearly immune to certain types of damage, except that your opponents have no way to reduce her slash or magic resistance. Anyway, there's a few interesting build ideas that come to mind with EX Miranda. Anyway, guys, that's it for this video. A lot coming in the next 2 months, and don't forget we will have Final Fantasy IV returning in January, which we will dive into a bit more next month. Let me know in the comments section below what you're looking forward to most and in the next couple of months. For me personally, I'm probably full pass on everything except EX Halloween Leela and maybe Aranea, depending on how much visiore I have. I'm hoping that 2B and Tifa can carry me for a couple more months while I save up visiore. Thanks for watching, guys, and we'll catch you next time.